I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I've been with my wife Amanda for about 5 years now. We got engaged last year, and honestly, I thought things were pretty solid. She was always a little bitchy, yeah, but I figured that was just her personality, sharp, quick to judge, always ready with a snarky comment. Still, I loved her. We had plans, a future, or at least I thought we did. The signs of trouble, though, started creeping in about a month ago. At first, it was small stuff. She'd be more secretive with her phone, quick to dismiss my questions about where she'd been or who she'd seen. I caught her deleting messages once, but she played it off like I was overreacting, saying, "You're just paranoid, Jake. Stop snooping." That should have been a red flag, but I was blinded by love. Or maybe just by the fact I didn't want to believe she'd hurt me that way. Then came little things, her changing her routine, staying out later, odd hours that she'd brush off with some excuse about work or meeting up with friends. I was trying to trust her, but I couldn't shake this feeling that something was off. I tried to talk to her about it, but she'd get bitchy, roll her eyes, and accuse me of being insecure. That's her favorite thing to do, throw my feelings in my face when she's caught lying or doing something she shouldn't. But the real shocker wasn't just her secretive behavior or the late nights. It was when I accidentally found out the truth. I was at her phone one night just trying to look something up, and I saw a message from someone named Dave. The message was short but clear. "Can't wait to see you tonight, it's been too long." My stomach dropped, I froze. I looked closer and saw a bunch of texts, not just that one, all pretty suggestive, talking about meeting up, plans for sex, how much she missed him. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I knew Amanda was a little bitchy, but I never thought she'd cheat on me, let alone with my best man. That's right. The guy I trusted the most, Jason, was the one she'd been sneaking around with. I was blindsided. I'd always considered Jason my brother, the guy I'd confide in, the guy I'd gone to for advice. And now I find out he's been lying to my face, cheating on me with my wife. It was like my entire world just flipped upside down in those seconds. I didn't say anything right then. I needed to breathe, to process. I just closed her phone, sat back on the couch, and stared at the wall, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. How could I not see the signs? How could I trust someone who's been lying right to my face? I thought I knew her, I thought I knew us. Turns out I didn't know anything. It was just the beginning of what would become a complete nightmare for me. After I found those messages, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing, but I knew I couldn't just ignore this anymore. I had to confront her. The next morning, I woke up early, feeling sick to my stomach. I decided I'd get it over with. I wanted to hear her lie, to see how far she'd go to deny everything. When Amanda woke up, I asked her to sit down. Her bitchy smirk immediately appeared, and she looked at me like I was some kind of inconvenience. I could see the annoyance in her eyes, but I kept my composure. I pulled out her phone and showed her the messages I'd seen. Her eyes widened for a second, just enough for her to pretend she'd been caught off guard. Then she rolled her eyes and said, "Jake, you're overthinking again. Those messages are nothing. Probably just some stupid joke, or maybe he was drunk. You know how people talk when they're drunk." Her voice was snippy, dismissive. She always did that when she was lying, tried to act like I was crazy for even questioning her, but I wasn't buying it. I told her I knew everything, that I'd seen the messages. Her face didn't change much, but her tone got bitchy quick. "Oh, so now you're spying on my phone. That's real mature, Jake. I can't believe you're acting so paranoid over some stupid messages. Maybe if you weren't so insecure, I wouldn't have to hide things from you." She was good at turning things around, making me feel like I was the problem. But I wasn't stupid anymore. I knew the truth. She'd been lying about where she was, who she was with, everything. She tried to deny it, of course. Said she was just talking to Dave, that they were friends, nothing more, that she never cheated. Said I was imagining things, that I was insecure, jealous even. She threw a tantrum, stormed out of the room, and slammed the door behind her. That was the moment I realized I'd been played. She'd been lying to my face for months, maybe longer. Jason was involved, and I'd trusted him too. I felt betrayed on every level, like the ground had been pulled out from under me. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew I had to see the full picture. I started digging deeper, going through her emails, her social media, anything I could find. Turns out the signs had been there all along, those late nights, her sudden mood swings, her secretive phone habits. I just hadn't wanted to see them. I felt like a fool, honestly. How could I not have seen the signs? How could I have trusted her to be honest with me when she'd been lying all along? That night, everything hit me harder than ever. I was furious, hurt, embarrassed. I'd given her everything, my time, my love, my trust, and she'd thrown it all away. The betrayal cut so deep I felt like I was bleeding inside. I was angry at Jason too. How could he do this to me, to us? I kept thinking about all those moments I'd defended him, trusted him. Now I saw him as just another liar, another person who'd hurt me when I was vulnerable. That's when the idea of revenge started forming. I wasn't just going to let this slide. I needed to make her regret it, make Jason regret it, and somehow I'd find a way to get back at both of them. The pain was raw, and I knew I had to act fast before I lost my mind. I was hurt, I was betrayed, and I was furious. I just didn't know what I'd do next, but I knew I couldn't let this go without some kind of payback. The days that followed were a blur of anger and betrayal. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, stubborn, bitchy, lying through her teeth, and Jason's guilty expression when I confronted him at the barbecue last summer. How blind had I been? How stupid? I kept replaying every moment, every sign I'd missed, every little instinct screaming that something was wrong, but I'd ignored because I loved her too much. I knew I had to do something, not just to get even, but to make her understand she'd crossed a line I never thought she would. I started planning my revenge carefully. I wanted her to feel what I felt, humiliated, betrayed, broken. I needed to make her see that her lies and her cheating weren't just some mistake. They were a betrayal of everything we built together. And Jason, I couldn't let him get away with it either. I spent hours online digging into ways to mess with someone's head, ways to make her see the pain she'd caused me. Nothing violent, no, I'm not that kind of guy, but enough to make her realize she'd lost control of her own life. I found out about some ways to hack her social media, to plant things that would make her doubt herself, her trust in her own judgment. I knew she'd be bitchy and defensive, but I wanted to hit her where it hurt, her ego, her sense of superiority. I also started collecting evidence, screenshots of the texts, emails, even her recent credit card statements. I wanted to have everything ready in case I decided to confront her again, or even worse, to do something more calculated. I was furious, but I kept my cool. I knew if I let her see me lose control, she'd just dismiss me as insecure or jealous again. No, this had to be precise, calculated. One night I planned to catch her again, just to see if she'd slip up. I set up a few fake accounts, sent her messages posing as someone interested in her, knowing she'd respond. Sure enough, she took the bait pretty quick. She was flirty, talking about how she needed a real man, how she couldn't wait to show Jason what she's got. That was the final nail for me. Amanda was done, her lies, her bitchiness, her cheating. It all boiled down to her wanting to be the center of attention, the one who always got what she wanted, no matter who she hurt. That's when I decided I'd had enough. I didn't want to just confront her anymore. I wanted her to see the full extent of her betrayal. I started hacking into her social media, planting fake messages and pictures. I created a profile that looked like a guy who was interested in her, someone she'd think was worth the trouble. I even sent her a message telling her how much I knew, how I'd been watching her. Her reaction was priceless. She freaked out, texted back all kinds of bullshit about how she was done with that life, how she didn't want to hurt me, and that she needed space. That's when I realized I had everything I needed. I had the evidence, her own words, her own lies. I could destroy her reputation, break her confidence even more. But I knew that if I did that, I'd be no better than her. No, I wanted something else. I wanted her to feel the loss, the shame, the emptiness she'd put me through. I wanted her to know she'd lost me because she couldn't be honest, because she was a lying, cheating bitch who thought she could get away with anything. I didn't tell her I knew everything right away. Instead, I waited, watching her walk around, acting like nothing had happened, pretending she was innocent. That was harder than any confrontation. Seeing her so bitchy and smug, knowing she was a liar, made my stomach turn, but I kept my cool. I knew I was building something, a plan that would shake her to her core. I wasn't just going to leave her, I was going to make her regret ever crossing me in the first place. And Jason, Well, he was next on my list. I kept my cool for a couple of weeks, but inside I was boiling over. Every time I saw her bitchy smirk, I felt like smashing something. I was walking a razor's edge. On the one hand, I knew I could blow up and confront her right then and there. But on the other, I wanted to do something more controlled, more calculated. I wanted her to feel the full weight of her lies and betrayal. I wanted her to see how much she destroyed my trust, my marriage, everything I believed in. One evening, I finally decided to put my plan into motion. I had created a fake profile, a guy who looked like someone worth her time, confident, successful, exactly her type. I messaged her. Again, just casually, pretending to be someone interested in her. She responded quickly, flirted back. I played it cool, kept her talking. She was bitchy, acting like she was in control, like she was the one calling the shots. Then I dropped the bomb. I know what you did. I know about Jason, about the sex, about everything. Her reaction was almost immediate. Her words were defensive, full of lies and denial, but I could hear the crack in her voice. She started spinning stories, saying I was paranoid, that she'd never cheat, that I was just insecure. She called me jealous, accused me of snooping again. I let her talk, but I didn't say a word. I just kept pushing her to admit what I already knew. She finally broke down a little, started crying, saying she was sorry. But I wasn't buying it. Sorry or not, her lies had destroyed any shred of trust I had left. I told her that I knew she'd been sneaking around, that Jason was just as guilty, and that I was done. Done pretending I didn't see the truth for what it was. I told her I'd take everything, her lies, her bitchy attitude, her cheating, and throw it back in her face. That's when I knew she realized she'd lost control. But I wasn't finished. I'd already set things in motion to make her regret it. I'd hacked into her social media accounts, made fake messages between her and Jason, pictures, even some of her flirtatious texts. I was going to make her see just how deep her betrayal went. I wanted her to understand that I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. She lied she'd cheated, and now she'd have to face the consequences. That night I sent her a message, something like, "I know everything. You can keep lying, but I've got proof now. You're not the person I thought you were." Her reaction was a mix of panic and anger. She freaked out, called me a psycho, accused me of stalking her, but I just sat back and watched. I knew I had her cornered. I'd finally made her realize that I wasn't going to be a pushover anymore, that I was serious about ending this chaos. The emotional toll was tough. I felt humiliated, betrayed, angry, everything all at once. I'd loved her, trusted her, and thought we had something real. And now I saw her for what she really was, someone who wanted to cheat, lie, and manipulate her way through life. I felt sick thinking about how she'd lied to my face, how she'd betrayed me with Jason, the guy I'd trusted most. But I also felt a strange sense of relief. I was finally taking control of the situation. I wasn't going to let her get away with it anymore. It was time for her to face the music, whether she liked it or not. After I set everything in motion, I started feeling like I was finally gaining some ground, but the pain was still raw. Every time I saw her bitchy attitude or her dismissive sneer, it reminded me how deep her betrayal ran. I knew I had to be careful, though. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about protecting myself emotionally and figuring out what the hell I was going to do next. The fake messages I planted had her freaking out even more. She started accusing me of hacking her accounts, saying I was stalking her, that I was losing my mind. That just confirmed I was doing the right thing. I wanted her to feel cornered, vulnerable, and confused. I wanted her to see that I wasn't the naive guy she thought I was. She'd pushed me to the edge, and now I was ready to push back with everything I had. I kept my cool, kept her guessing. I told her I had proof of everything, screenshots, fake conversations, everything. It was her turn to scramble. Meanwhile, I was quietly preparing to confront Jason. I didn't want to just burn him with words. I wanted to really make him feel the pain, the betrayal, the loss. I started collecting everything I needed, texts, emails, even some photos I'd found on her phone that proved they'd been together more than just once. One day, I arranged for a meeting with Jason. I told him I needed to talk. When we met, I kept my composure, just laid everything out. How I knew he'd been lying, how he'd been cheating on me with my wife. His face went pale and he tried to deny everything at first, but I had enough proof to blow the whole thing apart. I showed him the screenshots, the fake messages, the credit card receipts he didn't think I'd find. His excuses sounded weak. Blamed alcohol, said he was drunk, said Amanda was just a friend, that he never meant to hurt me, but I wasn't buying it. I told him I wasn't stupid anymore, that I saw what he really was, a liar, a cheat, someone who'd betrayed the guy who once considered him a brother. I told him I was done with his bullshit, that I'd make sure everyone knew what kind of person he was. I wanted him to feel the weight of his actions, to realize he'd burned every bridge he ever had with me. After that, I cut off contact with him completely. I told him to stay away from me and my life, that I'd be exposing everything soon enough. The rage inside me was boiling over, but I knew I had to keep my head. I had all the pieces I needed now, proof, evidence, and the knowledge that I was no longer going to be a doormat for her or Jason. The emotional aftermath was brutal. I felt like I'd been kicked in the chest so many times I couldn't breathe. The love I once had for Amanda was replaced with disgust, but I also felt a strange relief. I was finally taking control, finally doing something that would make her see what she'd lost. The trust, the future we'd planned, all gone. And honestly, I didn't think I'd ever be the same after this. I learned painfully that sometimes the people you trust the most can turn out to be your worst enemies. And when that happens, you've got to fight back, even if it tears you apart inside. In the end, I did what I set out to do. I gathered all my evidence, confronted Jason, and made sure he knew he had no way out. I showed Amanda the proof I'd meticulously collected, screenshots, fake messages, every lie she tried to spin. Watching her face crumble was almost satisfying, but it also left me hollow. That feeling of betrayal cuts so deep. It's hard to describe how it grinds you down from the inside out. After everything, I decided to leave. I packed my things quietly, made sure she saw I was serious, and walked out of that house never looking back. She tried to beg, to plead, to convince me she'd change, but I knew better. Trust was shattered beyond repair. She'd been a bitch about everything, lying, cheating, dismissing my feelings, and I finally realized I couldn't fix this. Not anymore. The aftermath was chaos. She moved out and I cut ties with Jason completely. I blocked her on all social media, changed my number, and started the slow process of healing. It's been months now, and honestly, I still feel the sting. I won't pretend I'm over it, but I am stronger. I've learned that trust isn't something to take for granted, and people can betray you in ways you never imagined. Looking back, I see all the signs I ignored. Her bitchy attitude, the late nights, the secretive texts, and I wonder how I missed the warnings. But I also see that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to realize your worth. If there's anything I want others to take from this, it's that honesty and loyalty matter more than anything. When they're gone, everything falls apart. Now I focus on myself. I rebuild what was broken piece by piece, and I'm more cautious about who I let into my life. I don't hate her, I just see her for what she is. A person who threw away the good for her own selfish needs. And Jason, well, he's just another lesson learned. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's damn hard to fix. So I keep moving forward, wiser, stronger, and more careful. That's all I can do.